Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So we finally figured out one mystery and now we have a new one. Um, I will explain that in a minute. Also, Donald Trump just completely threw his staff under the bus. Before I get into the details, though, please do me a huge favor. Click the subscribe button below this video. It's a free way that you can help bring more attention to these issues and to Trump's lies. So here's the deal. So you guys probably have heard by now, Trump was interviewed by ABC. The journalist did a great job of pressing him about his refusal to comply with the Supreme Court order to bring Kilmar Obrega Garcia home. So Trump brought up something that we had all wondered about, that I had talked about on the show, about Obrego's or Garcia's tattoos, right? We were wondering, like, did Trump know that the MS-13 on his knuckles was not tattoos, that they were not there, that they were not real? Um, you guys might remember this. Okay. Trump was in the Oval Office. He showed a photo of Garcia's fist, and he does have tattoos on his four knuckles, but they're of like a marijuana leaf. It's a happy face. There's a cross, and then there's a skull. Above those was very clearly edited in the letters and the numbers MS13, MS13. So we had wondered, everybody was wondering online. I mentioned it on the show, like, does Trump think that it actually says MS-13, or is his staff like trying to fake out the media? Or did they edit it in thinking that it would fool the media? Or were they just putting it there to show the media what they think those tattoos mean, what they represent? Like, we didn't know if they're trying to fool Trump, if they're trying to fool the media, if Trump knows the truth. And he wasn't really clear as to whether or not he understood that those letters and numbers were just edited in. Well, we now know. Take a look at what he had to say about Garcia's tattoos in this ABC interview.
He said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshop. So let me
That was Photoshop. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
And you think it was Photoshop? Well,
here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine.
Terry,
I want to get to Ukraine.
No. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but
they're in your picture.
Terry.
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
We'll take a look at that.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at that,
Why don't
sir.
you just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
It's contested.
So Trump actually believes that Garcia has the letters and numbers MS-13 on his knuckles. We now know that. The new mystery now is Trump being lied to? Are his people trying to fool him? Or is he just too stupid to realize that those letters and numbers were edited into the photo? Like, is his staff trying to trick him and the media? And did they tell him, oh, look, sir, his knuckles say MS-13? Or did Trump just assume that that's what it said, and he's too stupid to realize that that was just photoshopped into that photo, right? And that they're trying to justify his unconstitutional actions with this? or, we don't know. We don't know. And I really feel for the journalist because you get the sense there that he's really trying to like negotiate with a child, right? Or trying to like convince this child of something that is very true. And the child is like, no, no, Santa is real. Right? Like, and I'm wondering, like, what is Trump's team going to do? Because he has now clearly made a fool out of himself in an interview on national television. Are they going to go in and correct him? Are they going to go in and say, "Oh, sir," with tears in their eyes, on their knees, "Sir, that actually isn't in the photo. We added that to make it clear for you what we think those tattoos mean." Like, do they have the guts to do that? Or again, are they lying to him and they want to keep him in the dark? We don't know, right? We'll see. And here's the thing. The polling on this matter is not even close. So they are really, really risking pissing off the majority of the public even more than they already have. Because I've shared with you guys, when they poll people on specifically Abrego Garcia's case, it is not a close call. The majority of Americans say he should come home and he should come back to the United States and he should be given due process, right? He has an American wife. He has children here. He has not committed any crimes. Trump completely lies about that in another segment I'm going to show you. And people think that he is entitled to due process. And when they ask them more generally, should Trump comply with court orders, that is also not even close. The majority of Americans, including many Trump voting Republicans, say yes, Trump should comply with court orders, especially if it's the Supreme Court. Even a former Fox host and sex pest, Bill O'Reilly, Mr. Lufa, remember him? Even he says that Trump is making a mistake in this case. O'Reilly recently on his show said, quote, "I've said that quite clearly. Trump administration's making a mistake not bringing a man back because the Supreme Court wants the man back. If I'm President Trump, I don't want to alienate the Supreme Court, period." And that is a very big risk that he is running. And remember, they may have given him immunity, but they could take that away, right? They could say, maybe we'll revisit that now that we see how lawless he is and he's violating our orders. And we now also have proof out of Trump's own mouth that he could bring Garcia back if he wanted to. So take a look at this part of the interview.
You're making this person sound, this is a MS-13 gang member, a tough cookie, been in lots of skirmishes, beat the hell out of his wife, and the wife was petrified to even talk about him, okay? This is not an innocent, wonderful gentleman from Maryland.
I'm not saying he's a good guy. It's about the rule of law. The order from the Supreme Court stands, sir.
He came into our country illegally.
You could get him back. There's a phone on this desk.
I could.
You could pick it up, and with all the power of the presidency, you could call up the president of El Salvador and say, send him back right now.
And if he were the gentleman that you say he is, I would do that.
But the court has ordered you to facilitate that.
I'm not the one making this decision. We have lawyers that don't want to do this.
But the buck stops in this office.
No. I follow the law. You want me to follow the law? If I were the president that just wanted to do anything, I'd probably keep him right where he is.
Supreme Court.
So first of all, as you heard there, he's completely lying about Garcia. There's zero evidence that he's involved in any violence. His wife addressed the issue that they had. And she said that they went to counseling. They've had a very happy marriage since then. She is not afraid of him. And who is Trump, by the way, to talk about this man? I mean, his first wife said that he was totally violent with her, that he sexually assaulted her. And then we know through a court, through, a jury of his peers, that he assaulted another woman. I mean, who is Trump to talk about someone like Garcia? And, beyond that, Trump admits he has the power to bring this man home if he wanted to. But then, if you notice, he pivoted and he threw his cabinet members under the Trump train. It's, oh, well, it's their call. They're telling me not to do it. They're saying I'm not supposed to do it. Really? Because the Supreme Court and other courts told you you were supposed to do it. So if I was Pam Bondi, I would really watch my back and I would be rethinking my loyalty to the apricot Antichrist, because it sure sounds like Trump is trying to set her and others up to take the fall. Like if he gets in trouble by violating the Supreme Court's order, if they do say, well, you know what? Yeah, we're not so sure about that immunity thing anymore. And understand, it wouldn't be 4 years from now. If the Democrats take the House, they could they could impeach him and remove him. And then once he's out of office, he can be taken to court. He can be punished criminally, especially if the Supreme Court decides that they're going to remove their ridiculous ruling about him having presidential immunity. And here's the other thing I wanted to share. This hasn't gotten much press, but it came out about a week ago that the Trump administration, they stopped the return of Garcia. So April 25th, the Atlantic published an article. And in this article, they said that I guess they got this from some inside source, that when the Trump administration figured out that they screwed up and sent Garcia to El Salvador against a judge's orders, because remember, in 2019, a judge ordered the Trump administration back then that you need to release this man and you are not allowed to send him to El Salvador because he faces violence if he is sent back there. Trump never took issue with that, right? Never had a problem with it. Didn't even try to appeal that decision. Now, all of a sudden, the guy is this violent MS-13 gang member. So supposedly, right? But when they figured out that they had violated that court's order and he was not allowed to go back to El Salvador, officials in the Trump administration were scrambling and trying to figure out how to get him back. They were talking about reaching out to El Salvador. Well, we now know through this new reporting in the Atlantic that Trump's Justice Department shut it down and said, no, we're not doing that. So even before a court ordered them to, his officials were like, oh my God, we got to get this guy back. This was a huge screw up. And his Justice Department under Pam Bondi, the woman who will undoubtedly face criminal charges in the future, in my opinion, she and her team, I guess, I'm assuming it was her, said, no, we're not doing that. So there you go, guys. I will let you know when I hear more. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.